They say winter reveals the truth. And on that frozen morning in Anchorage, justice began with a single mistake. A substitute teacher, blinded by pride, pushed an 8-year-old girl into a blizzard to punish her for being bright. She thought no one would know. She thought no one would care. But she forgot one thing. The child she cast out into the storm belonged to a former Navy SEAL, a man trained to track danger in the dark, and a dog bred to confront it without fear. What happened next would shatter her lies, expose her cruelty, and remind the world that karma does not wait. Before we continue, share this story with someone who believes in justice. Comment where you're watching from, and subscribe for more true stories of courage and accountability. The bark in the Anchorage blizzard, winter in Anchorage pressed down like a steel sky, its wind carving through the city with a merciless rhythm. Noah Carter gripped the steering wheel of his aging SUV as it crawled through the storm. Snow lashed sideways across the windshield, a curtain of white shards that blurred everything beyond a few yards. Behind him, in the back seat, sat Atlas, a 5-year-old German shepherd, broad-chested and powerful, his black and tan coat thick as armor. The dog held his head high, amber eyes alert, ears tilted forward with the instinctive focus of an animal trained to scan danger before it arrived. Atlas did not fidget, did not whine. He watched the storm as though cataloging threats invisible to human eyes. Noah had always trusted that gaze. He was 40, tall, and built like a man who had spent half his life carrying gear heavier than most men could lift. His face, hardened by years in the Navy SEALs, was angular, with a square jaw shadowed by neatly trimmed beard. A thin streak of silver cut through the stubble near his temples, not from age but from sleepless deployments and the quiet toll of memory. His dark brown eyes could warm when he spoke to his daughter, but in moments like this, when focus overtook sentiment, they sharpened to something cold and precise. A limp touched his left knee, the lasting echo of a blast wave in Kandahar. Doctors told him he'd never run the same, but Noah learned long ago that a SEAL did not need perfect legs to remain dangerous, only resolve. And today, that resolve had a purpose. His daughter, Emily Carter, 8 years old, small for her age, with chestnut hair she wore in a loose braid, had forgotten her STEM project that morning. She had worked on it for a week, staying up past bedtime hunched over cardboard circuits and tiny LEDs. Noah remembered the way she bit her lip when concentrating, a habit she inherited from him. When she realized she had left the project on the kitchen counter, panic softened her brown eyes, and Noah felt that quiet twist in his chest. The ache only a parent knows. He told her he would bring it. No storm would change that. But as he turned into the school parking lot, its asphalt buried under fresh snow, a strange unease settled over him. Atlas shifted in the back seat, nails clicking once against the plastic mat, a silent sign of tension. Noah stepped out into the biting wind, the navy coat he wore flaring at the hem. The cold hit like needles, sharp enough to sting through denim, but years of cold weather deployments had made him indifferent to discomfort. Atlas jumped out behind him, landing with the clean, quiet power of a trained working dog. Together they crossed toward the main building, boots sinking into snow that swallowed sound. Inside, the hallways hummed with the soft monotony of a school day, though something felt off, too quiet, too careful. A pair of boys stood near the lockers, their jackets powdered with snowflakes they had not brushed off yet. They spoke in low voices, exchanging worried glances. When Noah approached, they straightened instinctively. Most adults intimidated them, but Noah, with his imposing build, stern expression, and the silent wolf-like dog at his side, made them swallow hard. "Have either of you seen Emily Carter?" Noah asked, voice calm but firm. The taller boy hesitated, fidgeting with the zipper of his coat. She's not in class, sir." "Why not?" Noah asked. The boys exchanged another look before the smaller one whispered, "The substitute teacher, Ms. Morgan. She sent her outside." A cold far sharper than the storm slid through Noah's chest. Ms. Morgan. He didn't know her, but the tremor in the boy's voice told him enough. "What for?" Noah asked. "She corrected Ms. Morgan's science answer," the boy said, and the class kind of laughed. Ms. Morgan got mad. She told Emily to stand outside and think about respect. Noah's breath turned heavier, tighter. Outside, in this weather. Atlas gave a low, rumbling exhale, his nose lifting toward the end of the hallway, the direction of the rear courtyard. Noah didn't run. He moved faster. The doors to the courtyard burst open beneath his hand. The wind shoved against him like a living thing. Snow whipped sideways, stinging his cheeks. Atlas lunged ahead, muscles taut, ears rigid. At the far corner of the courtyard, near the emergency exit door, Noah saw her. A small figure folded into herself. A thin gray sweater dusted in white, brown hair stiff with frost. Emily stood trembling so violently her knees buckled every few seconds. Her hands pressed over her mouth, trying to trap what little heat she had left. Her face, usually bright with curiosity, had turned pale, her lips edging toward blue. Noah felt his heartbeat fracture. Emily swayed. Her eyes fluttered. She tried to take one step and failed. Atlas barked once. A sharp, precise warning carried through the howling wind. The kind of bark he used in training when he sensed collapse, threat, or danger closing in. Noah surged forward, boots punching into the snow. But in the split second before he reached her, Emily's legs buckled, and the world narrowed into one brutal question. Would he reach his daughter before her small body hit the frozen ground? Signs of cruelty. The infirmary lights glowed a soft amber, a warm contrast to the storm clawing at the windows. Emily lay wrapped in heated blankets, her small body trembling beneath layers of wool and emergency foil. Her cheeks carried a faint pink again, though the edges of her lips remained pale. Every so often her teeth chattered, a rhythm she tried to control but couldn't. Atlas lay on the floor beside her cot, his chest rising in slow, controlled breaths. The German shepherd rested his head between his paws, yet his amber eyes never blinked for long. They swept the room, studying every sound of the heater, every shift in the hallway, each footstep outside the door. His ears rose and lowered with surgical precision. To most, he looked calm. To Noah, he looked poised, one command away from unleashing the violence embedded in his training. Noah stood on the other side of the bed, shoulders tight beneath his navy winter coat. His hands were clenched loosely, a practiced posture of restraint. He had learned long ago that fury, if not controlled, could blind a man in moments that demanded clarity. But anger pulsed underneath the discipline now, a sharp pressure against his ribs. A soft shuffle at the doorway revealed the school nurse, Mrs. Halley, a woman in her mid-50s. She was shorter than average, with a round, gentle face softened by years of reassuring frightened children. Her silver hair was tied into a low bun, stray wisps clinging to her forehead from the warm air of the room. She approached with a clipboard held to her chest. "She's stable," she said quietly. Her voice was calm, though her brows pinched with worry. She wasn't outside long enough to enter the dangerous stages of hypothermia. Another 20 minutes would have changed that. Noah exhaled once, a sound between relief and dread. Mrs. Halley reached out, brushing Emily's forehead with warm fingers. "She's lucky someone found her." Noah didn't correct her. He simply nodded. Emily stirred. Her eyes fluttered open, brown, still hazy from cold. She blinked several times before her gaze found him. "Dad?" Noah leaned closer, his voice steady. "I'm here, Em." She swallowed, throat still tight, and whispered, "I'm sorry I forgot my project." The apology pierced deeper than anything else. Noah's jaw tightened, a flash of emotion tightening his voice before he forced calm back into it. "You have nothing to be sorry for," he murmured. Emily's eyes glistened. She looked down at her blanket-wrapped hands. "Ms. Morgan," she got mad. "I didn't mean to embarrass her." Noah felt something shift inside him, a slow, decisive click like a rifle bolt locking into place. Mrs. Halley stepped closer, concern shadowing her features. "What happened, sweetheart?" Emily inhaled shakily. She asked a question about gravity and orbits, but she said something wrong. I remembered what Dad taught me, so I tried to help. Everyone laughed because she mixed up the planets. The child paused, breath quivering. She called me rude. She said I was making her look stupid. Then she told me to go outside and learn some manners. She locked the door. I knocked, but she didn't open. A flush of shame and fear washed over Emily's face. Noah's expression changed, not loudly, not dramatically, but with a chilling clarity. His eyes darkened, the warmth replaced by something sharper. His shoulders straightened, his jaw squared. It was not rage that filled him. It was intent. Combat-level intent, the kind that had once kept his team alive. Atlas reacted instantly. The dog's ears perked. His body lowered into a quiet state of alertness. He sensed the shift before anyone else. A Navy SEAL never reacted emotionally. They observed, they recorded, they responded with precision, and Ms. Morgan had given him much to respond to. The infirmary door opened again, this time revealing Assistant Principal Raymond Cole, a tall, thin man in his late 30s with sandy blonde hair and wire-rimmed glasses. His posture was stiff, the kind belonging to someone who feared confrontation more than he feared being wrong. His pale cheeks reddened when he noticed Noah. "Mr. Carter," Cole said, clearing his throat, "I heard what happened. We're gathering the facts." Noah turned toward him, the movement slow and controlled. "Your substitute teacher locked my 8-year-old daughter outside during a blizzard." Cole tugged at his tie, his voice wobbling slightly. "Let's not jump to conclusions." Atlas lifted his head. A low, warning rumble vibrated deep in his throat. Not a roar, not a bark, but the quiet promise of what could follow. His amber eyes fixed on Cole with unblinking intensity. Cole swallowed hard. Noah placed a calming hand on Atlas's shoulder, though he did not break eye contact with the administrator. His voice was quiet, but carried the weight of something nearly physical. "I don't jump," Noah said. "I verify." Emily looked between them, fear flickering again. Noah softened his gaze for her. "Rest, Em. You're safe now." Mrs. Halley gently ushered Emily back against the pillow. Cole shifted uneasily. "We will investigate." Noah stepped closer, only one measured pace, but the air seemed to tighten around him. "You will do more than that." Cole's eyes widened. He saw it now, the truth beneath Noah's calm exterior. The man before him was not simply a father. He was a trained predator, disciplined and dangerous, capable of crushing threats with methodical ease. And the dog at his side added its own silent threat, a creature bred for intelligence, loyalty, and controlled force. Noah leaned just slightly closer. "A teacher abused her authority today. If the school fails to act, I will." Cole nodded rapidly. "Yes, sir. Of course." Noah stepped back, his face returning to a neutral mask. He wasn't here to intimidate for pleasure. He was here to protect. Atlas shifted beside him, gaze still vigilant. Emily watched her father, a faint sense of safety blooming in her exhausted eyes. She didn't understand every word exchanged, but she understood enough. Her father did not yell, he did not threaten, he simply became the storm. And the chapter closed with Noah standing guard beside his daughter, silent, steady, and gathering every detail he would soon use with lethal accuracy. Shadows in the school, rumors spread through North Anchorage Elementary with the speed of wind slipping through cracked windows. Whispered fragments drifted from classroom to hallway, turning Ms. Morgan's name into a hushed warning. Students stepped aside when Noah Carter passed them, glancing nervously at the tall man with the sharp jaw and storm-hardened eyes, and at the German shepherd who moved beside him, like a silent bodyguard carved from muscle and instinct. Atlas walked half a step ahead of Noah, nose low, tail level, posture taut. The 5-year-old dog moved with an awareness beyond ordinary obedience. His amber gaze flicked from lockers to door frames to shadows under benches, reading the environment with the same vigilance Noah once relied on during night patrols in Kandahar. There was no barking, no lunging, only a steady, controlled tension that suggested exactly what he was capable of if pushed. Noah paused at the rear exit door, snow still caked along its frame. He studied the metal, marked by faint dents where small fists had struck it, Emily's knuckles. He traced the cold surface with 2 fingers, committing every detail to memory. Behind him, a teacher approached hesitantly. Mr. Dalton, a man in his late 40s, tall but stooped slightly as though years spent grading papers had bent his posture. His salt and pepper beard grew unevenly along his jaw, framing a face lined with exhaustion. His glasses sat crooked on his nose, giving him the look of someone always halfway between distraction and duty. Yet his eyes, deep-set and soft, held genuine concern. "Mr. Carter," Dalton began, voice low, "I heard what happened to your daughter. I'm terribly sorry." Noah turned, giving a polite nod. "Did you see anything?" Dalton swallowed. "Not directly, but I've taught alongside Ms. Morgan before. She's brilliant in some ways, but prideful. If a child outshines her, she doesn't take it well. She sees it as disrespect." Noah folded his arms, the navy coat tightening across his broad shoulders. "Children aren't responsible for a teacher's insecurities." "No," Dalton agreed, voice tightening. "They aren't." Atlas sniffed the air around Dalton before deeming him non-threatening. Dalton stepped back regardless, instinctively respecting the dog's space. Noah continued down the hallway, his boots echoing off the tile. Students peered from classroom doors. Some looked frightened, others curious. A few looked relieved, as though they believed justice had finally walked into the building. When he reached Emily's classroom, the room stood empty. Desks in rows, abandoned pencil shavings on the floor, a poster about the solar system peeling slightly at the top corner. It was a typical classroom, bright colors, childish drawings, yet the air felt heavy, like something darker had seeped into it. Noah scanned every inch. He measured the distance from Ms. Morgan's desk to the door, checked the blind spot behind the coat rack, noted the alignment of the window shades. A lifetime of reconnaissance sharpened his gaze, turning mundane school architecture into a field map of angles, vulnerabilities, and escape routes. Atlas moved toward the corner where Emily usually sat. He sniffed the chair, then lowered his head, letting out a sobbed huff. Noah followed his line of sight and saw a small scrap of paper on the floor. Emily's handwriting scrawled across it. A doodle of their house, something she must have dropped in her panic. Noah pocketed it gently. The door opened behind him. A woman stepped inside, her presence both steady and cautious. Sarah Whitmore, the school counselor, approached with hands clasped. She was in her early 30s, of medium height, her build slender but balanced, as though she moved with intention rather than fragility. Her chestnut hair, curled softly at the ends, framed a face with smooth features and clear blue eyes that held sincerity. Her clothing was simple, a charcoal cardigan over a cream blouse paired with gray slacks. She carried herself like someone who had seen hurt before and learned how to mend it. "I figured I'd find you here," she said gently. "I'm Sarah," Noah nodded. "Counselor?" "Yes." She stepped closer, though she remained mindful of Atlas, whose gaze sharpened at her approach. "I spoke with Emily briefly. She's strong and scared. Children shouldn't have to navigate fear like that." Her voice broke slightly at the end. Honesty, not performance. Noah studied her with quiet scrutiny, assessing sincerity the same way he once evaluated whether an informant was telling the truth. Sarah didn't flinch. If anything, she met his gaze with an awareness that suggested she understood he was measuring her. "I want to help," she said. "I know you can handle yourself. Anyone can see that, but Emily needs the system to acknowledge its failure. She needs adults to recognize how dangerous this was." Atlas shifted beside Noah, settling into a position that offered him a clear line of sight to both the door and Sarah. Noah rested a hand on the dog's head, calming him, grounding himself. "Did you know Ms. Morgan had a history of this behavior?" Noah asked. Sarah hesitated, exhaling slowly. There were warnings, complaints about her temper. A few parents mentioned she humiliated their children. Nothing as extreme as this, but I believed it was escalating. "That information wasn't in her file?" Sarah shook her head. "Not everything gets recorded." Noah's jaw hardened. Layers of negligence were beginning to surface. Sarah stepped toward the desk, running her hand lightly over a stack of worksheets. "This school prides itself on safety, but safety isn't a slogan. It's a responsibility." Noah turned toward the window, watching snow thicken outside. "And someone failed it. More than one someone," Sarah said quietly. Noah faced her again. "I'll handle my part, the right way." Sarah nodded. "I believe you will." For a moment, there was silence. Not tension, just clarity. A mutual understanding of what had happened and what was coming. Atlas suddenly stiffened, ears pricking toward the hallway. Footsteps echoed, hurried, uneven. Noah's stance shifted reflexively, while Sarah stepped aside. A student rounded the corner, breathless. "Mr. Carter, Ms. Morgan is back in the building." Noah exchanged a look with Atlas. The dog's amber eyes glinted with the alertness of a soldier awaiting orders. The shadows in the school had grown darker, and Noah Carter was fully prepared to walk into them. The day of reckoning, the conference room on the second floor of North Anchorage Elementary, was too warm for winter. The heat hummed from an old vent in the corner, filling the space with a dry, metallic smell that clashed with the icy storm still raging outside. Yet despite the warmth, a chill threaded through the room, one born not of weather, but of tension. Noah Carter stood near the far end of the table, the navy coat stretched across his broad shoulders. His posture was controlled, his jaw set, his gaze sharp enough to silence a room. Beneath him sat Atlas, the 5-year-old German shepherd, massive but composed, his head held high. His amber eyes flicked across every person present, and even seated, the dog radiated the disciplined menace of a trained combat partner. Across the table, Principal Howard Greer adjusted his tie with trembling fingers. Greer was a heavy-set man in his mid-50s, short with thinning blonde hair and a face prone to sweating under stress. His pale skin flushed pink whenever he grew uneasy, which made him appear perpetually embarrassed. He had spent his career avoiding conflict rather than managing it, a trait that now betrayed him. Next to him sat Assistant Principal Cole, his wiry frame rigid with nerves. His glasses slipped down his nose as he shuffled through a stack of reports he barely understood. At the opposite side of the room, Ms. Morgan stood with clenched fists. She wore a burgundy sweater and black slacks, her frame tall and wiry, her dark hair pulled into a tight bun, a style that once projected authority but now emphasized the rigidity in her expression. Her face, narrow and sharp, revealed flashes of defensiveness beneath a veneer of forced calm. Her eyes were darting, as though searching for an escape route. She was not a woman used to admitting fault. Pride had shaped her, sharpened her, and in recent years hardened her into someone brittle. The door opened quietly, and Sarah Whitmore, the counselor, stepped inside. Her calm presence brought a faint softness to the room, though even she seemed guarded, aware she was stepping into a battle. Principal Greer cleared his throat. "We're here to address the incident involving Emily Carter." Noah's jaw tightened at the phrase "the incident," as though his daughter's suffering were merely a scheduling mishap. He did not speak, not yet. Instead, he placed one hand lightly on Atlas's neck, grounding both himself and the dog. Cole looked toward Ms. Morgan. "Please explain your actions." Ms. Morgan straightened her shoulders. "I was teaching a lesson. Emily interrupted me and mocked me. I sent her outside for a moment to cool down." "A moment?" Sarah's voice was soft, but the weight behind it cut through the air. "In a blizzard?" Ms. Morgan's cheeks reddened. "I didn't think it was that cold." "It was 12 degrees, Noah said, voice low and even. Ms. Morgan flinched at the sound of his voice, not from volume, but from the controlled force beneath it. She continued, "It wasn't intentional. I meant to bring her back in." "Then why did you lock the door?" Sarah asked. Ms. Morgan opened her mouth, but no words came out. Before she could recover, a group of students entered, 3 boys and a girl, each wearing winter jackets and nervous expressions. They ranged in age but shared the same wide-eyed fear of doing something wrong. Principal Greer gestured. "These students volunteered statements." The tallest boy stepped forward. His sandy hair fell into his eyes as he spoke. "We heard Ms. Morgan tell Emily she needed to learn her place. Then she pushed her outside." The girl beside him, petite, with dark skin and long braids, added softly, "Emily knocked for a long time. Ms. Morgan told us not to open the door." Another boy nodded vigorously. "She said if we opened it, we were getting detention." Ms. Morgan's face drained of color. Sarah folded her hands gently. "Children don't invent stories like this when they tremble while talking." Ms. Morgan's breathing quickened. "They misunderstood." Noah stepped forward deliberately. The room froze. He did not loom or raise his voice. The power came from stillness, a practiced stillness that signaled absolute danger. He looked directly at Ms. Morgan. "If Emily collapsed out there, we wouldn't be sitting in a meeting room. We'd be in a courtroom." Atlas rose to his feet with slow, controlled precision. The dog's posture elevated, muscles aligned, head held level. It wasn't aggression, it was readiness. His amber eyes locked on Ms. Morgan with chilling focus. Every person in the room felt the shift. The combination of a seasoned SEAL and his combat-trained dog created an atmosphere crackling with unspoken consequence. Ms. Morgan's voice trembled. "I didn't mean—" "You meant to punish her," Noah said. "And you almost killed her." Principal Greer swallowed hard. "Ms. Morgan, given the evidence and testimonies, you are suspended effective immediately." Cole added, "Law enforcement has been notified." The color drained from Ms. Morgan's face entirely. Her legs wobbled as though the foundation beneath her had vanished. She looked not at Noah, but at Atlas, seeing in the dog's steady stare the truth she had refused to accept. She was the predator until something bigger stepped into the room, and now she was prey. A knock sounded at the door. Officer Danielle Rusk, a woman in her early 40s with a sturdy build, brown skin, tightly braided black hair, and an expression carved from years of dealing with the worst of Anchorage, entered the room. Her dark eyes scanned the scene, pausing on Noah with recognition. Not personally, but professionally. She knew a military man when she saw one. "I'm here for Ms. Morgan," Officer Rusk said. Ms. Morgan let out a faint, broken sound. Noah didn't watch the handcuffs click closed. He simply placed a steady hand on Atlas, signaling the dog to stand down. But the message had been delivered. Cruelty had consequences. And justice, when brought by a seal and the dog beside him, was not gentle. Winter light, the morning sky over Anchorage stretched pale and clean, washed with the soft gold of early sun. Snow still blanketed the sidewalks, but the storm from days before had settled into calm. The world looked gentler, quieter, as if it too was ready to start over. Noah Carter tightened the wool scarf around his neck as he parked outside Riverside Elementary, the new school he had chosen after long nights reviewing safety policies, faculty reputations, and student testimonials. He did not gamble with his daughter's future, not ever again. Emily stepped out of the SUV, bundled in a navy parka and a knitted hat the color of fresh cranberries. The faint bruising from the cold had faded from her cheeks, replaced by warmth and the pink glow of anticipation. Healing had not stolen her courage. It had unearthed it. Atlas leapt down next, landing with quiet power. The 5-year-old German shepherd stood tall and alert, thick winter coat glossy under the morning light. His ears flicked with every sound: the scrape of a shovel, distant laughter of children, the creak of a school door opening. His harness fit snugly across his shoulders, displaying the bold black lettering: Service Dog, Do Not Pet. And yet, the message seemed unnecessary. One look at Atlas, at the disciplined way he scanned his surroundings, at the tension coiled beneath his calm exterior, and even the bravest child hesitated before reaching out. Noah rested a hand on his dog's side. "Easy, boy. This place is different." Emily held her father's other hand, her small fingers wrapped around his glove. The subtle pressure revealed what her brave face tried to hide, a flicker of leftover fear that she hadn't yet found words for. Inside the school entrance, warm air washed over them, carrying the scent of crayons, floor polish, and freshly baked muffins from the cafeteria. The hallway glowed with student artwork taped to the walls: polar bears in watercolor, handprint snowflakes, smiling portraits drawn with unsteady pencil strokes. A woman approached them with a welcoming smile. She was Principal Linda Calloway, a soft-spoken woman in her mid-40s with chestnut brown hair framing a gentle, round face. She wore a pine green sweater and glasses that slipped down her nose whenever she smiled, which she seemed to do often. Her posture was calm, her steps unhurried, qualities that signaled confidence without arrogance. Years of working with children had etched kindness into her features, and kindness was something Emily noticed instantly. "You must be Emily," Principal Calloway said warmly. Her voice had the soothing timbre of someone who read stories aloud often. "We're very happy to have you here." Emily nodded, her shyness flickering but not overwhelming her. "And this is Atlas?" the principal added, lowering her voice respectfully as she looked at the dog with admiration rather than fear. "He is magnificent." Atlas, recognizing gentle intent, dipped his head once. It was the small courtesy of a warrior acknowledging a safe environment. Noah introduced himself with a firm handshake. Principal Calloway's grip was steady, surprisingly firm for such a soft-spoken figure. "We take safety seriously here," she said, meeting Noah's eyes with sincerity. "And we celebrate bright minds, not punish them." Emily's shoulders eased. A teacher appeared from one of the classroom doors, waving cheerfully. Mr. Javier Rios, Emily's new homeroom teacher, was a tall man in his early 30s with warm bronze skin and expressive dark eyes. His curly black hair fell slightly past his ears in soft waves. He wore a simple button-down shirt with rolled sleeves and a pair of well-worn boots, giving him a relaxed, approachable air. Students passing by called out greetings to him with enthusiasm, and he returned each with familiarity that came from genuine care. "Emily," he said with a bright grin, "we've been waiting for you. I heard you know quite a bit about science." Emily's cheeks flushed pink. "A little." "Well," he said, leaning slightly closer, lowering his voice as though revealing a secret, "the science club meets next week, and I hope you'll stop by. We love curious minds." Emily's eyes widened. Her fingers slipped from Noah's hand, not out of fear, but out of eagerness. Noah watched with a slow exhale of relief. "Your classroom?" he asked. Mr. Rios gestured down the hall. "Third door on the left. We made space for her things this morning." Atlas sat beside Noah, watching Emily walk a few steps ahead. His tail gave a single thump, a sign of approval. The dog seemed to sense the shift in atmosphere. The air was safer here. The people carried no malice. The child was protected. As Emily approached her classroom door, A cluster of children peeked out. A girl with freckles and strawberry blonde pigtails whispered, "That's her." A boy with round glasses waved shyly. "Hi, Emily." Another child pointed at Atlas with wonder. Is he a hero dog?" Emily turned, glancing at her father for permission. Noah nodded. "Yes," she said softly, a smile blooming. "He helps protect us." The children stepped back respectfully, their curiosity tempered some awe. Emily entered her new classroom. No locked doors, no angry voices, no bitter adults threatened by brilliance. Only sunlight streaming through the windows and desks arranged in small groups to encourage teamwork. Noah stood in the doorway a moment longer, absorbing the sight. His daughter, surrounded by children who saw her as someone to welcome, not someone to break. Mr. Rios gave Noah a reassuring nod. "She'll thrive here." Atlas sat like a guardian statue at Noah's side, his presence a silent promise. No bully, no cruel adult, no hidden malice would ever reach Emily without passing both of them first. And that would never happen. When Emily finally glanced back, her smile, bright and certain, settled something deep within Noah. He raised a hand in farewell. She waved back. Winter had been brutal, but even winter held light. And today, Emily stepped into hers. In the quiet glow of that winter night, one truth rose above every falling snowflake. Sometimes God sends his miracles not as thunder or lightning, but as ordinary people who choose to stand up when others turn away. A mother searching for shelter, two children longing for safety, a soldier carrying old wounds, and a faithful dog who never leaves his side. Each of them stepped into the same moment for a reason only heaven could weave. And maybe that is the lesson for us all. That kindness is never small, that courage often walks in silence, that God uses human hands to lift the broken, guide the lost, and guard the vulnerable. If you have ever felt alone, may this story remind you that the Lord still works in hidden ways. If you have ever helped someone, may you know that heaven sees every quiet act of mercy. And if you are waiting for a miracle, may your heart stay open, because it may already be walking toward you. Before you go, share this story with someone who needs hope tonight. Tell us in the comments where you're watching from, so we can pray with you. And subscribe to the channel for more stories that honor courage, compassion, and the quiet miracles God plants in our everyday lives. May the Lord bless you, keep you warm this winter, and place his protection over everyone you love.